black son the keys to his first car. And he says, wait a minute, Mommy, before you walk away, tell me again what I need to do when the cops stop me so that they don't shoot me. Hands at 10 and 2. Don't grab your seatbelt. Don't look around. Don't move. Try not to breathe. Don't say anything. Put your license on the visor. Should I look when they come? Don't look at them. Keep looking straight ahead. What if they tell me to take off my seatbelt and then grab my license? Don't do it. Just say, I can't do anything, sir. I can't do anything, sir. And if you have to, put your hands up just so that you can get home alive. I know that every time my sons leave the house, I could be Tamir's mother. I could be Trayvon's mother. I could be the mother that George Floyd cried out for. I know that every time they leave that door, that could be the end of my song. You don't know what real fear feels like for black mothers in this country. There's got to be a special place in heaven for black mothers. For the burden that we have to carry. For the work that we have to do. For the cries that we have to have. For the tears that we always shed. There's got to be a special place in heaven for black women and black mothers. See, this is why we have to go down to the river. Because we go to the water. Because there's safety at the water. There's cleansing at the water. There's baptismal at the water. We go to the water to be free. We go to the water to be left alone. We go to the water to breathe. There's got to be a special place in heaven for black mothers. Growing up in Ola, South Carolina, my great-grandfather used to take me for walks. And no matter where we started, we always ended up at the family cemetery. We would walk through the woods, walk past the trees, and my great-grandfather would say, take a look at the southern trees. He said, they bear strange fruit. He said, my whole life there's been blood at the leaves and blood at the roots. They bear the bodies of our family. We would end up at the cemetery. And my great-grandfather would walk around and he would give me the stories of all of our family members buried there, walking in circles and telling me who I am and where I come from and where I'm going. Now, when I was in college, I went down to visit my great-grandfather. And he was sitting in a chair, staring and looking out the window for hours. My Nana said he was probably just losing his mind. He had scars and bruises all over his face and all over his hands. And my Nana said what he was doing is every week he would go down to town. He would cash his check. He didn't trust the banks. He'd buy a bag of pecans, put all his money in his pocket, and make his walk home. But on this trip, the white boys followed him, jumped him, took his money and his bag. But see, my Nana said the bruises on his face, that's from where they hit him. But the bruises on his hands, that's from where he hit back. See, everything should stop when unarmed black people get killed by the cops. Everything should stop when black folks go to cash their check and get pecans and get beat up. Everything should just stop. We should go down to the river. We should dress in white. We should take off our shoes, burn incense, burn some sage, get on our knees and say their names. Ahmaud Arbery, Eric Gardner, Rekia Boyd. We should say the names of those that we know and those that we don't. The black woman that was lynched because she was walking too fast. The black guy that was swooped up off the street. The ones we don't know But that's the blood that's at the roots. There's got to be a special place in heaven for black mothers. I took him that day. I said, well, come with me, Baba Daddy. Let's go to the family cemetery. My hope was that it would ground him for just a moment and bring him back to me. He got to the cemetery, walking in circles, sat on the ground and started crying and telling me different stories. Over there is where Aunt Millie is, and they killed her because she was laughing too much. And over there is Uncle Cedric, and they lynched him because they said he was walking too fast. And over there is where Aunt Sissy's son was buried, but he's not actually there. He just never showed up again. We figured the white boys must have took him. And over there is your great Aunt Pye. She died because they lynched her boy. He said, this is why I can't leave this place. This is why I'm tethered to this ground. This is why I can't fly. Now he just sat there. He stared out for so long that I thought he was gone again. Boot, he said, that's my family nickname. He said, I was here last week. And old Mr. Charlie wanted to know what I was doing. He always wants to know what I'm doing. And I said, I'm just here visiting my family. He said, Mr. Charlie got out of his car, walked over to me and said, boy, ain't nothing over there but niggers and ghosts. Boot, we gotta be more than that. Don't let them make you small. Don't let them break you. We are more than niggers and ghosts. I've been thinking a lot about my great-grandfather this whole month because I've been preparing for my youngest son, the last one to come on through, to graduate from a persistently white, predominantly white, stubbornly white high school. A school that tried to but failed to break him. They tried to, but failed to make him small. They tried to, but failed to make him think that we're just niggers and ghosts. They tried to, but they failed. Because I knew that I stand here between my great-grandfather's dreams and my youngest son's potential. I stand here as the bridge that crosses between the two of them. I stand here as the one to make sure he soars when they simply want him to fly. I'm the one to make sure that they don't make him small, they don't break him, that they don't make him think he's nothing but niggers and ghosts. What should I do when the cops stop me so I can make sure I get home safely? How should I move? Where should I have my license? Where should my hands be? What should I be looking at? What should I say? How many times do I say yes, sir, no, sir? If they want me on my knees, should I get on my knees, Mommy? Just so I can get home safely. How do you raise a black son to be a black man and teach him to get on his knees? How do we do both of those things at the same time? How do we let them make our sons small while we're trying to big them up and help them to understand who they are? How do we let them define us? And when they do, they define our children. Everything should stop when unarmed black people get killed. We should mourn. We should grieve. When I think about my son, I realize a couple of things. One, I said, wow, this is the end of my song as the Black Mommy activist. All I've been doing for 18 years is trying to bring them on through. All I've been doing is planning my schedule around school outings, fencing tournaments, when to bring lunch, when to get cupcakes, when to go vegan, when to not be vegan. That's all I've been doing. I've been the one back and forth at his room every night, praying over him, crying over him, checking on him. When he would leave for school and get out the car, I would do the Vaseline on his face. He's like, Mommy, what are you doing? I'm just kind of laying you down so they don't make you small. You think I'm just Vaseline in your face. I'm actually laying sages and blessing you as you walk out the car. What do I do when that song ends? What do I sing next? Who am I when the black mommy activist goes off to college? What do I do then? I told my son there are 3 tools I want you to take with you. I said, this is the final piece of my black mommy activist journey. I'm going to put some things in your backpack. I'm going to put them right there next to all of my love, all of my hope. I'm going to give you a little box. And it's the same box that my daddy gave me when I went to college. I went to Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. And when I went to college, my dad said, when we drive away, we're going to leave you here. But don't worry, I left something on your bed so you can go and open that, and that is my gift to you. Now, because I was that kind of child, I'm thinking it's got to be money. Well, what daddy's going to leave and not leave money? I was like, it's not money. It must be my grandmother's pearls I've been asking for all my life. I go in there, and there's a box, an alabaster box. And I'm excited thinking, well, it's big enough for money. It's big enough for the pearls. I opened the box up, excited. And it was empty. So I had to wait about an hour and a half before cell phones, y'all. So my dad got home, but I kept calling collect every couple of minutes waiting for him to answer the phone. When it finally went through, he's like, Boot, I know that's you. Yes, the box is empty. Did you forget to leave the money? I'm just trying to understand what the lesson is in an empty box. He said, that box is not empty. In that box is every prayer your grandmother prayed when she went to vote and they wouldn't let her. In that box is every tear your great-grandfather cried when they would beat him up while he's trying to cash his check. In that box is every time your mother and I had to choose between paying for your tuition to be or buying something new for the house. In that box is every hope and dream this family has had since we arrived in this country. The box is not empty. The box is full of tools for you. Same tools I'm giving to my son, the same tools I will share with you. The first two, and there are 3 of them, but the first two that my great-grandfather said and my father reinforced is you got to be committed to finishing the race. Now, I think about that because I watch the Olympics. I don't know what action is happening. I just like to watch track and field. I like black bodies running, right? But in 1992, for the Barcelona Olympics, if you remember, Derek Redmond went out and he was favored to win the 400. And around the first lap, he pulled his hamstring and he started limping. Now, I don't know who won the race. Like, I stopped looking at Derek because the camera stopped looking at the runner because the camera stayed on Derek. And you just saw him limping around the track. And then a man burst through the crowd. And that man came, remember, put his arm around Derek and put his arm around the shoulder, and he helped him limp to the end. Now, they later asked Derek, well, why didn't you stop when you pulled your hamstring? He said, I was going to stop until my father came out and he carried me. Let me just say, black folks, we've been carried a long time. We've been carried by the dreams and hopes of our ancestors. He said, my daddy said to me every step of the way, you came to Barcelona to finish a race, not to start one. As black folks, we are committed to finishing this race, dismantling white supremacy, which is not a sprint but a marathon. And we understand it's probably not going to end with us. But we are preparing our children, and we're preparing the children of our children to keep running this race because we are going to win. And when freedom gets here, there are going to be people from my family on the other side. So we're committed to finishing the race. Second, you got to be able to sing your song of courage, your song of resistance. So Ella Baker, who I know we all know, said when she was training the young people for SNCC, the Southern Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, she said she would teach them how to sing. And they were trying to figure out what does singing have to do with freedom? Why are you teaching us how to sing? Teach us how to march. Teach us how to move. Teach us how to resist. Why are you teaching us how to sing? And Ella Baker said one night they were working in the office. The white man told everyone, fall to the floor, lay on your back, and then reach out and grab the hand of the person to your right. And then grab the hand of the person to your left, and then we're going to sing. She said, I taught you how to sing so you'll know you're never alone. I taught you how to sing because our song has been carried through. I taught you how to sing because in singing there is no fear. Singing is all about hope. She taught them how to sing. She said, when you go and they lock you up, start singing on your way. When you're in that jail cell, no worries, just go ahead and sing. Don't let them steal your song. So one, we got to be committed to finishing the race. Two, we got to be able to sing a song of courage. And three, we got to be courageous, even in the midst of terror. What do I do when the lights come up behind me? Should I pull off and it's dark? Should I slow down? Should I cut my blinkers on? Should I say, Siri, the cops are after me? What do I do? I said, you got to be courageous. You need to have courage. Because in moments like this, and in moments that are to come, it's about being courageous in that instant. Now, we have a family story that every time we want to talk about being courageous, and I understand my son said the song back to me when I was crying on graduation morning. They were like, no, mommy, you got to be courageous. That's what you told us. When I was crying, when I was giving my son the keys, no, mommy, you got to be courageous, because that's what you told us. We do this story. That's a family story. Now, my youngest son, who's 18, when he was 4 years old, he was in his room by himself. And if you're a parent here, you know something special happens when your kids can play by themselves, right? Like all kind of magic happens when kids can go to their room for a minute and won't stick a fork into the fall, right? So you know that happens. But he was playing by himself, and all of a sudden he sneezes really loud. And he says, God bless you, Amir. Now, I'm not just a mommy, I'm also a researcher, right? So I got questions. So I called him downstairs, and I'm like, Amir, when you were by yourself, you said, God bless you, Amir. Why did you do that? And with all of his 4-year-old wisdom that I remember to this day, he looked up at me and said, Mommy, because sometimes when you're by yourself, you gotta bless yourself. I'm like, right? Sometimes when you're by yourself, you gotta bless yourself. Because they don't know what lies within you. They don't know your genius or your struggle. They don't know what it takes to push our children through. They don't know that we go to the river every time an unarmed black person gets killed, and then we get back up and we push a little harder. They don't understand that George Floyd took the breath out of us. And then Breonna Taylor. And then Ahmaud Arbery. And then Daunte Wright. They don't understand that just being black in this country every day is a moment of resistance. So what do I do when the cops come up behind me? I said, center yourself. Be solid in that moment. Remember who you are in that moment. You remember that you're more than what they're trying to make you. You're more than that moment in your life. You are part of a continuum of black genius in this country. They cannot break black genius, even if you have to get on your knees. Even if you're on your knees, be standing up in your heart. That's okay, baby, because we can fight them tomorrow. Let's get you home tonight. See, we keep fighting until freedom is won. We keep fighting because that is how we move. I fight back through my sons. I fight back because everything I have, I poured into them. You are the hopes and the dreams, not just of the slaves, not just of the ancestors. You're the hopes and the dreams of your mommy, and I'm still here. I'm still right here. We keep fighting, like Ella Baker once said, until the killing of black boys, black mothers' sons, is as important as the killing of white boys, white mothers' sons.